Welcome to Vigorous Training. I'm Coach Steve, and this is Hamstrings and Glutes Day. So I can't always ask my wife to come with me and film the entire workout, so I decided just to bring a tripod and do a little voiceover explaining how the hamstring and glute exercises are performed. If you guys like this sort of content, please let me know in the comment field so I feel inclined to do it a little bit more often, and otherwise it's just going to be once or twice a month when I can schedule my wife to get the footage for me. This is the first exercise in lying hamstring curls. I use a little foam mat to get better range of motion, and that's a much better contraction at the top range. So this is the first set. I wasn't really happy with this one, so I decided just to do it again. Normally I would only do one working set per exercise, but since the first working set didn't really go well, I decided, you know what, I can do better. And this is the second one, which I did do a little bit better, even though I was already a little bit fatigued. I got 5 reps and 1 assisted, which is a bit difficult on this machine. But hey, you gotta make it work, right? And this machine is spaced in a way that nobody can give you a spot from the back. So we just try to make it work. So this was 5 reps and a little spot at the end. And then onwards to seated hamstring curl. This one is a little bit more difficult to get into, so I'm adjusting quite a bit just to make sure that everything is aligned and proper. You have to push the pad quite deep into your upper quads, and then I like to sit backwards and make sure that my thumbs are digged underneath my hamstrings just to get the best possible range of motion, because it's a bit difficult to get into the first rep. But once you're locked in, it's a perfect range of motion per contraction. I was a little bit fatigued from the laying hamstring curls, so I got about 4 solid reps, and then I did a few partials because you know, when you do 2 working sets with your max weight instead of 1, you fatigue a little bit later on. Just got to make it work, you know, just trying to find your way back into the gym. Not everything is going to be solid and the same as it used to be. So we're doing the best we can, guys. So that's all nicely warmed up, and now we go to the adductor machine. I do quite a bit of warm-ups on this one, quite a bit of feel sets, because using the full stack and resistance bands and change is pretty heavy. I place my feet over the footrests because that gives me a much better contraction on the adductors. Since I already did 2 hamstring exercises prior, I really want to focus on the adductors, and otherwise the weight that I put on here is definitely not enough. You know, unfortunately, some of these machines you really have to get a little bit creative just to put enough weight, and it also looks fun, so you know, that's part of the game, I guess. Got about 6 reps, a couple assisted. Hopefully I can work my way up to 12 reps over the next few weeks. And then I'll have to phase this out because it just can't get any heavier than this. So that was all pre-fatigue, that was all pre-exhaust. And now we're going to the set that matters for hamstrings, and that's stiff-legged deadlifts. I did 5 plates for 6 reps, and it went relatively easy. Now I prefer full range of motion on this exercise, especially, you know, when I used to do office work, I always got retracting hamstrings. And that meant, you know, you don't have so much flexibility and not good mobility. So I started doing this maybe 10 years ago, stiff-legged deadlifts all the way to the floor. And I always try to get more range of motion out of this exercise, because with the 20 kilo plates or the 45 pound plates, you don't get that much range of motion. So with the 10 kilo plates, 25 pounds, you get 2-3 more inches range of motion, especially if you put your toes on the plates. You get way more stretch at the bottom. Now it is a little bit compromised position, so you really have to work your way up to that and make sure you don't explode too much, because then you'll tear your hamstring right off. And this is 6 plates. I felt pretty good doing 5 plates, so I decided to progressive overload my way into the 6 plates. It's always been a weight that is really struggling for me, so I got 3 solid reps and decided to call it a day, because I still need to recover from all of this. And we're going to make slow and steady progressions, not big jumps. Onwards to hip thrusts for glutes. This is just a feel set, 3 plates, full range of motion, glutes to the pad, all the way down, all the way up. Unfortunately, when you do full range of motion on this machine, this pad really digs into your pelvic bone. It is what it is, guys. Sometimes you got to bleed a little bit to get a muscle, so even though it's uncomfortable, you still got to do it. And it's still way easier than using the barbell, obviously, because that one I can't even roll over my quads anymore, so that's why I prefer to use this machine. And then for my working set, I asked Ploy, an IFBB pro in the figure division here from Thailand, for a spot, because the last thing you want is to get stuck in this machine, and that has happened before, and sometimes there's nobody around to get you out of it, so then you just sit there feeling crushed. That's something I definitely didn't want to happen. So 4 plates, I got about 4 reps by myself, and Ploy helped a little bit on the 5th and 6th rep. As you Could have helped a little bit more, but hey, it is what it is. And then the last exercise of the day is reverse hyperextensions, which is always a bit of a struggle trying to get yourself completely horizontal and not using too much momentum. So I've done 5 plates per side in the past, but that's so much momentum that the whole machine rattles. 3 plates I can get relatively easily horizontal with my torso and my lower body, and 4 plates is kind of like the middle ground. So a little bit of momentum, trying to get my torso as horizontal as possible. I try to push my heels together and then do a little kickback on the top range of motion, and that way you get a lot of lower back, upper glute, and a little bit of hamstring stimulation. You feel it right in the scar tissue. So for those of you guys that are enhanced, once you start doing this exercise 4, 5, 6 weeks later, all that scar tissue is nicely unbound, and that's another added benefit of going pretty heavy on this machine. Let me know what you guys think about this kind of content. It's relatively easy to film, and this way I don't have to ask my wife to film everything for me. Just use the tripod and a little voiceover. Hopefully you guys can get a little bit of idea on how to train and get a proper contraction. Let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching.